Pokémon, I became a principal and hired Liu Bo as a teacher. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 201 Returning to the Evergreen Pokémon Academy. Kong Xian and everyone returned to the Evergreen Pokémon Academy, but they knew this was only a temporary piece. Night Shadow's strength and his methods put them under great pressure. They must strengthen training to improve themselves in Pokémon strength. He then looked at the Xiaoguang deer and stroked it gently. We need stronger power to fight Ying. Xiaoguang Lu grunted in agreement. Xianlin looked at Yan IE700 Eagle. We can't fall behind. We must strengthen training. The flame-winged eagle flapped its wings and flew up, making a sharp growl sound to express its determination. Long Zhangyang had an in-depth exchange with a Thunder Lion. We need to find new skills to enhance our strength. The Thunder Lion let out a low roar in agreement. Kong Xian took Lucas Phoenix to the college library. He wanted to find some ancient legends about Pokémon, hoping to find ways to improve his strength. In the deepest part of the library, Kong Xian found an ancient book, which recorded a skill called Element Fusion. This is a skill that combines two or more elements to create a stronger force. A glimmer of light flashed in Kong Xian's eyes. This is what we need. He immediately took the book back to the academy and shared the discovery with everyone. A trace of expectation flashed in Hezin's eyes. If we can master this skill, our strength will definitely be greatly improved. Xianlin nodded. We must start training as soon as possible. In the following days, the four began intense training. They tried to blend elements of their own Pokémon with those of other Pokémon to create new skills. The glowing deer and the flame-winged eagle merged to create a skill called Flame Blast. This is a skill that combines light and fire to create a powerful impact. The Thunder Lion merged with Lucas Phoenix to create a skill called Thunder Tornado. This is a kind of fusion of thunder and light to form a powerful whirlwind, a skill that sweeps across everything. After a long period of training, the four finally mastered this skill. Their strength has been greatly improved, and they are full of confidence in facing Ying again. But at this moment, the college's alarm suddenly sounded. Nightshade appears again in the academy's sky with his Pokémon. Kong Xian clenched his fists. Ying, what are you doing here again? Ying sneered. Let me see your training results. Kong Xian said coldly, then you can try the power of our new skills. Night Shadow's Pokémon had a fierce duel with Kong Xian and his Pokémon. Lucas Phoenix and Thunder Lion teamed up and launched the Thunder Tornado, rushing directly towards Ying's Frost Dragon. The dragon tried to dodge, but was restrained by the powerful power of the Thunder Whirlwind and could not move. Not to be outdone, the Xiaoguang deer and the flame-winged eagle launched a flame impact and rushed directly towards Ying's Storm Eagle. Although the Storm Eagle was flexible, it was severely damaged by the powerful impact of the light 4.7 flame impact. Ying saw that his Pokémon was suppressed, and his face became very ugly. He summoned his strongest Pokémon, Shadow Wolf. The Shadow Wolf exudes a powerful dark aura, and its eyes flash with a cold light. Kong Xian saw Shadow Wolf and knew it was Yi Shadow's trump card. Chapter 202 Not afraid. But he was not afraid. He took a deep breath and said to Lucas Phoenix, let's defeat it together. Lucas Phoenix let out a sharp growl, which merged with Kong Xian's spiritual power. They launched a powerful skill and rushed directly towards the Shadow Wolf. Although the Shadow Wolf is powerful, it seems to be struggling under the joint attack of Kong Xian and Lucas Phoenix. After a fierce battle, the Shadow Wolf was finally defeated. Ying saw that his trump card Pokémon was defeated, and his face became very ugly. He knew he had lost, so he recalled his Pokémon and turned around to leave. Kong Xian looked at Ying's back and took a deep breath. He knew that this victory was not easy, but they finally did it. 14 He returned to the academy with everyone, and everyone showed a tired but satisfied expression. Back in his room, Kong Xian lay on the bed and took a deep breath. Although the battle was successful this time, it also made him feel deeply stressed. He knew that he needed more powerful power to completely defeat Ying. Kong Xian closed the door, walked to the desk, and opened a heavy book. This is the college's admissions brochure, which records the information of all students who have signed up to take the college exams. He began to carefully check each student's information to prepare for the upcoming admissions exam. Suddenly, his light stopped at a name Black Shadow. A trace of doubt flashed in Kong Xian's eyes. Why is this name so familiar? He carefully checked the student's information and found that this student was very powerful. even surpassing the teachers of many colleges. Kong Xian thought to himself, is this student a disciple of Yu Ying? He decided to pay special attention to this student during the admissions examination. The next day, the college's admissions examination officially began. Kong Xian stood at the front of the examination room, staring at each student sharply. After the exam began, Kong Xian discovered that the student named Black Shadow was indeed very powerful, and every move he made was full of power and speed. Kong Xian thought to himself, this student does have Yu Ying's demeanor. After the exam, Kong Xian decided to go to the student in person to learn about his background. He walked up to the student and asked with a smile, is your name Ying? The student nodded, yes, Zhang. A trace of doubt flashed in Kong Xian's eyes. Why do you want to come to our college, Black Shadow smiled slightly. I want to learn more Pokemon skills and improve my strength. Kong Xian nodded. Then why are you called Ying? Does this name have something to do with Yu Ying? A trace of complexity flashed in Ying's eyes. He is my master. Kong Xian took a deep breath. I understand. But I hope you can bring honor to the academy instead of avenging your master. Ying nodded. I understand, Dean. Kong Xian smiled slightly. That's good. Welcome to join the Evergreen Pokemon Academy, Sombra's inclusion in the Evergreen Pokemon Academy caused quite a stir. After all, his name was so similar to that of his former enemy that many people were suspicious of him. But Kong Xian's trust in him allowed him to receive fair treatment in the academy. Daily life at the academy is rigorous. Every morning, students will undergo basic performance training, followed by practical exercises on Pokemon skills. Sombra performed very well in these trainings, and his Pokemon skills were so good that he easily defeated rival in every actual combat exercise. Period. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 203. Who are you? But Ying is not proud. He always trains silently and does not compete with others. This made many students who had doubts about him gradually begin to accept him. One day, the Shadow was conducting actual combat drills on the playground. Suddenly, a figure fell from the sky and stood in front of him. Ying, do you still remember me? The man sneered. A trace of doubt flashed in Ying's eyes. Who are you? I'm here to take revenge on you. Leng Feng said coldly. Black Shadow took a deep breath. Why do you want to seek revenge from me? A flash of spite flashed in Leng Feng's eyes. It was your master who killed my senior brother, and I want to avenge him. The Shadow shook his head. That is the grudge between them and has nothing to do with me. Leng Feng sneered. You are his disciple. You are his sin. After saying that, Leng Feng summoned his Pokemon, a huge frost dragon. Not to be outdone, Black Shadow summoned his Pokemon, a Black Shadow Wolf. The two Pokemon had a fierce duel in the air. The frost dragon spits out cold frost, trying to freeze the Shadow Wolf. But the Shadow Wolf evaded flexibly, emitted dark energy, and attacked the ice dragon on the playground. The students were all attracted by this showdown. They all cheered for Sombra, hoping he could win the battle. Kong Xian was also attracted by this duel. He stood on the side of the playground, staring sharply at the battle between the two. When Leng Feng saw Kong Xian, a trace of fear flashed in his eyes. He knew that Kong Xian's strength far exceeded him. But he was not afraid. He decided to use his own strength to defeat the Black Shadow and avenge his senior brother. But Sombra is not so easily defeated. His Shadow Wolf and the Frost Dragon launched a fierce duel, and every attack was full of power and speed. After a fierce battle, the Shadow Wolf finally found the Frost Dragon's weakness and defeated it. Leng Feng saw that his Pokemon was defeated, and his face became very ugly. He knew that he had lost. He recalled his Pokemon and turned to leave. The Black Shadow looked at Leng Feng's back and took a deep breath. He knows that this is just the beginning and that his past will continue to pursue him. Kong Xian walked up to the Black Shadow and said with a smile, "You did a good job." Black Shadow nodded. "Thank you, Dean." A trace of doubt flashed in Kong Xian's eyes. "Why didn't you tell me that you had so many grievances in your past?" Black Shadow took a deep breath. "I don't want my past to affect the academy." Kong Xian smiled slightly. "You are a very responsible person." Black Shadow nodded. "I just want to bring honor to the academy." Kong Xian nodded. "That's good." The two walked back to the academy side by side. The shadow knows that his past will continue to pursue him, but he is not afraid. Because he has Kong Xian, an academy, and his own Pokémon. As night falls, the lights of the Evergreen Pokémon Academy are brightly lit. The students all return to their dormitories and prepare to rest. But the shadow did not go back. He stood on the roof of the college, staring at the starry sky in the distance. Kong Xian walked over and stood beside the black shadow. "What are you thinking about, Black?" Shadow sighed. "I'm wondering if my past will affect the academy." Kong Xian smiled slightly. "You are too worried. As long as you contribute to the academy, the students in the academy will accept you. Chapter 204 The College Brings Trouble. Black Shadow nodded. "I know, but I'm always worried that my past will bring trouble to the academy." Kong Xian looked at the Black Shadow. "What is your past, Black?" Shadow was silent for a moment. "I used to be a killer, and I did a lot of bad things in order to survive. But then, I met my master, and he taught me Pokemon skills and made me a new person." Kong Xian nodded. "Everyone has a past, but the past does not represent the future. You are now a student of the academy, and you should work hard for the future of the academy." He took a deep breath. "You are right, I will work hard for the future of the college." 100 The next day, the early morning sunshine penetrated through the clouds, bringing a touch of warmth to the earth. The students of the Evergreen Pokemon Academy gathered in front of the academy's gate early, preparing to go to the forest for practical training. Kong Xian stood at the front of the team, followed by Yang and several other instructors. "Today, we will lead you into the forest to battle wild Pokemon. This is the first step for you to become a real Pokemon master." Kong Xian's voice was clear and firm. The students were talking a lot, some were full of expectations, and some seemed a little nervous. The Black Shadow walked to Kong Xian and whispered, "Dean, I hope to participate in this actual combat training." Kong Xian glanced at him and smiled slightly. "Are you here to protect them, Black?" Shadow nodded. "I don't want my past to affect them." Kong Xian patted his shoulder lightly. "Don't worry, you are not alone." The team soon entered the forest. In the forest, ancient trees tower into the clouds, and sunlight shines through the gaps in the leafage and onto the ground, forming patches of saffron color. Occasionally, the figure of a wild Pokemon passes through the woods, causing the students to scream. Remember, the most important thing when fighting wild Pokemon is to establish a deep trust relationship with your Pokemon. Kong Xian stood on a huge rock and told the students. A timid student raised his hand and asked, "Dean, what if our Pokemon is defeated?" Kong Xian smiled slightly. "That means you still need more efforts. But don't worry, we will protect you." The students nodded one after another to express their understanding. Soon, a huge flame eagle swooped down from soaring in the sky and pounced directly on a female student. The female student backed away in fear, but her Pokemon, a crystal fox, stood in front of her coldly and started a duel with the flame eagle. The flame eagle let out a sharp growl, and the flames on its wings became more intense. But the crystal fox was not afraid. It sent out a cold beam of light, which collided with the flame of the flame eagle and made a loud noise. The flame eagle was repulsed by the cold beam, but it did not give up and launched another attack. At this time, the Black Shadow came over, and his Shadow Wolf immediately jumped out and started a fierce battle with the Flame Eagle. Although the Flame Eagle is powerful, the Shadow Wolf is faster. Soon, it finds the Flame Eagle's weak point and defeats it. The female student walked up to the Black Shadow and said gratefully, "Thank you, Black." Shadow smiled slightly. "This is a battle between you and your Pokemon? I just helped." Kong Xian looked at all this and nodded with satisfaction. He knew that this practical training was not only for the students to fight against wild Pokemon, but more importantly, for them to learn to establish a deep trust relationship with their own Pokemon. Period. Chapter 205 The Passage of Time. As time went by, the students competed with more wild Pokemon. Some students succeeded in defeating wild Pokemon, while others failed, but they all learned a lot from it. Yang sat on a rock and watched the students share their experiences today. A trace of satisfaction flashed in his eyes, and he felt very gratified to see these young students growing up in actual combat. Suddenly, a burst of rapid footsteps broke the tranquility. A student ran over panting, his face full of panic. "Dean, it's bad. There is a group of wild Pokemon approaching us. There are a lot of them," the student said eagerly. Kong Xian and Yang stood up immediately, with serious expressions on their faces. "Everyone, pack your things immediately and prepare to evacuate." Kong Xian ordered loudly. Upon hearing this, The students immediately took action. But in this deep forest, they were not familiar with the terrain and soon fell into chaos. When Xiang saw this scene, he was anxious. We must find a safe route as soon as possible. Kong Xian nodded. I remember there is an ancient altar nearby. We can go there to take shelter. The two quickly led the students towards the altar. But the number of wild Pokemon is increasing, and their speed is obviously not as fast as these Pokemon. Suddenly, a huge thunder lion jumped out of the woods and rushed towards a student. Black Shadow immediately summoned his Shadow Wolf and started a fierce battle with the Thunder Lion. Other students also summoned their own Pokemon and started a duel with wild Pokemon. But their strength was obviously not as good as these wild Pokemon, and they soon fell into a disadvantage. When Kong Xian saw this scene, he was anxious. We must evacuate as soon as possible. He summoned his own Pokemon, a Golden Phoenix, and led the students to fly in the direction of the altar. After a fierce battle, they finally reached the altar. This is an ancient building, surrounded by tall stone pillars and with a huge altar in the middle. Kong Xian and Xiang immediately organized the students to defend. They knew that this battle was not over yet. Soon, a group of wild Pokemon surrounded the altar, and their eyes were full of hostility. Kong Xian took a deep breath. We must hold on until dawn, then these wild Pokemon will leave. Black Shadow nodded. I will do my best to protect every student. As night falls, the altar is surrounded by wild Pokemon. They continued to launch attacks, trying to break through the students' defense lines. Kong Xian and Black Shadow stood in front of the altar and started a fierce battle with wild Pokemon. Their Pokemon skills were very powerful, and they quickly defeated a large number of wild Pokemon. But there seems to be no end to these wild Pokemon, constantly pouring out of the woods and attacking the altar. Please give me flowers. Just then, a familiar voice sounded. Stop. A figure walked out of the woods, followed by a group of powerful Pokemon. When Kong Xian and Xiang saw this person, they both showed surprised expressions. It's you. This man was Xiang's master, and he smiled slightly. I knew you would be in trouble, so I came here to help. Xiang looked at his master, his eyes full of gratitude. Master, thank you. The master smiled slightly. You are my disciple. Of course I want to protect you. Kong Xian looked at them, and his heart was full of gratitude. Thank you. Without you, we might be in crisis. The master shook his head. You're welcome. I just did what I should do. He turned around and looked at the group of wild Pokemon. You can leave. You are not welcome here. The wild Pokemon retreated one after another, and tranquility returned to the area around the altar. Kong Xian and Xiang walked up to the master and said gratefully, thank you. Without you, we might be in crisis. The master smiled slightly. You're welcome. I just did what I should do. He turned around and looked at the group of wild Pokemon. You can leave. You are not welcome to work here. Chapter 206, Peace Restored. Silence returned to the surrounding area of the altar, but there was still a tense atmosphere in the air. The students sat around the altar, treated injured Pokemon, and exchanged their recent battle experiences. The Black Shadow walked to Master and whispered, Master, why do these wild Pokemon suddenly attack us? The Master was silent for a moment, and then said, I feel a powerful Pokemon force in this forest, and it is attracting these 590 wild Pokemon. Kong Xian frowned. What kind of Pokemon power is it? The Master shook his head. I don't know very well, but I can feel its existence. Black Shadow took a deep breath. We must find the source of this Pokemon power, otherwise the safety of the students cannot be guaranteed. Kong Xian nodded. I agree. The three decided to go deep into the forest to find the source of this Pokemon's power. They moved in the direction sensed by their master, and soon they came to a huge lake. In the center of the lake, there is a small island. There is an ancient tower on the island, and a powerful Pokemon power emanates from the top of the tower. Kong Xian looked at the tower with a surprised expression in his eyes. That's the master nodded. Yes, that is the legendary Pokemon Tower. Black Shadow frowned. Pokemon Tower? I've never heard of it, Master explained. The Pokemon Tower is an ancient legend. It is said that there is a powerful Pokemon in the tower that can control all wild Pokemon. Kong Xian took a deep breath. Then we must enter the tower and find that Pokemon. The three decided to take a boat to the island. But when they approached the island, the water surface of the lake suddenly rolled, and a huge water dragon jumped out of the water and rushed towards them. The master immediately summoned his Pokemon and started a fierce battle with the water dragon. Black Shadow and Kong Xian also summoned their own Pokémon to fight against the water dragon. After a fierce battle, they finally defeated the water dragon and successfully landed on the island. They walked into the Pokémon tower and found it empty with no signs of life. But when they reached the top of the tower, they discovered a huge crystal ball. There is a little Pokémon in the crystal ball, and its eyes are full of fear. Kong Xian walked forward and gently stroked the crystal ball. Is this the powerful Pokémon? The master nodded. Yes, it is trapped here. That's why it attracts so many wild Pokémon. Black Shadow looked at the Pokémon, his heart full of sympathy. We must release it. Kong Xian and Master both nodded. But at this moment, the door of the tower was suddenly closed, and the entire tower was filled with an evil atmosphere. A deep voice sounded. Kong Xian frowned slightly. This is the sound of a dark Pokémon? The Shadow clenched his fists and whispered, Dark Pokémon? What is that? Kong Xian sighed. They are an ancient, evil Pokémon. They possess 3.9 powerful dark magic and can control the will of other Pokémon. The master's face became serious. Then what should we do now? Kong Xian looked around and said, we must find an exit and get out of here. The three began to look for an exit in the tower, but soon they discovered that the entire tower was blocked by a powerful magic and they could not leave. Period. Chapter 207 Deep Voice. Suddenly, the deep voice sounded again. You want to leave? Unless you defeat me. The voice sounded. A tall figure walked out of the darkness. His body was wrapped in darkness, and only his glowing eyes could be seen. Kong Xian held his Pokéball tightly. Who are you? The figure smiled slightly. I am the master of this tower, the king of dark Pokémon. The Black Shadow sneered. Do you think you can trap us? The dark Pokémon king shook his head. I don't want to trap you. I just want to find a rival to fight against me. The master frowned. Why are you doing this? The dark Pokémon king took a deep breath. Because I am tired of this lonely life. 14 I want to find a rival to compete with me. Kong Xian looked at the master in the shadow and said, okay, we accept your challenge. The dark Pokémon king smiled slightly. Then let's get started. He summoned his Pokémon, a giant dark dragon. The dark dragon's body was wrapped in black flames, and its eyes were filled with murderous intent. Kong Xian, Black Shadow and Master summoned their own Pokémon one after another and started a fierce battle with the dark dragon. The battle was very fierce, and the dark dragon's attack was very powerful, but the three Pokémon were not to be outdone. They used various skills to fight against the dark dragon. The figure of the dark dragon flew in the air, its huge body like a crack in the darkness, swallowing up all cow. Every time the wings flap, it brings a gust of cold wind, which makes people feel chilly. The entire tower seemed to be shrouded in its dark aura, as if it had entered a bottomless abyss. Kong Xian summoned his main Pokémon, a firebird with wings like a phoenix. The firebird rushed to soaring in the sky and started a duel with the dark dragon. Whenever the firebird's flame collides with the dark dragon's black fire, there will be a deafening explosion, and the fierce confrontation between light and darkness will make the entire space shake. Black Shadow summoned his Ice Wolf Pokémon. Although it is much smaller than the dark dragon, every attack is accurate and fast, especially its cold claws. Every time it hits the dark dragon, it will cause the latter pain. The ground howled. Black Shadow, you and Kong Xian surrounded from both sides. I will be the main attack. Master shouted, and then summoned his strongest Pokémon, a huge stone giant. The stone giant stepped forward heavily, and every step made the earth tremble. Its hands formed fists and struck hard at the dark dragon. But the dark dragon is not easy to mess with. It dodges flexibly, and then swipes at the stone giant with its tail. The master looked at the battlefield nervously. He knew that this was a battle that was difficult to win or lose. Suddenly, the dark dragon let out an earth-shaking roar. The roar was full of rage and unwillingness. It began to cast a powerful dark magic. The entire tower was affected by this power, and every corner began to cracks occur. Both Kong Xian and Xiang felt dizzy, and the Pokémon were restrained by this force and unable to move. Only Master is still trying his best to maintain the stability of the stone giant. Be careful. It's about to launch its strongest attack. Master shouted, but it was too late. The dark dragon rushed towards the master. The stone giant tried to resist, but under the influence of dark magic, its movement slowed down significantly. The dark dragon's big mouth opened, almost swallowing the stone giant. Period. Chapter 208, Wise out of desperation. The master suddenly got wise and immediately withdrew from the stone giant and quickly evaded in another direction, but the speed of the dark dragon was too fast. It seemed to be one with the darkness. It caught up with the master in an instant and swallowed him whole in one bite. Master! Black Shadow shouted in shock, his eyes full of pain and disbelief. The entire tower was shrouded in deathly silence, except for the proud roar of the dark dragon. Kong Xian took a deep breath, tried to stabilize his emotions, and said to the shadow, "Let me do it, I will help him get revenge." He looked at Kong Xian, his eyes full of tears, but there was also a determined light. "Okay, I believe you." Kong Xian closed his eyes and began to concentrate. The air in the entire tower seemed to have solidified, and everyone could feel a strong Pokemon power gathering. Soon Kong Xian summoned his most powerful Pokemon, the Bright Phoenix. From the Pokeball, the Light Phoenix spreads its wings and flies high, and the cal emitted from its body seems to be able to dispel all darkness. Even the dark dragon is temporarily suppressed by this light. The Light Phoenix let out a crisp growl, and then attacked the dark dragon. The dark dragon was not to be outdone. It roared and waved its huge tail, trying to resist the attack of the Light Phoenix. But the attack of the Light Phoenix was very accurate and fast, and every tackle made the dark dragon unbearably painful. Especially the dazzling beam. Every time it hits the dark dragon, a huge wound will appear on its body. The battle lasted for a long time, and the entire tower was filled with fire and thunder. But in the end, the Light Phoenix successfully defeated the dark dragon. Under the attack of the light, the dark dragon screamed in pain, then turned into a ball of black smoke and disappeared. Both Yang and Kong Xian breathed a sigh of relief. They walked to the place where the master was swallowed by the dark dragon, and saw a huge crack there, and the master had disappeared. Kong Xian sighed heartbrokenly. "Master," the shadow held Kong Xian's hand tightly. "We will avenge Master." At this time, the dark Pokemon King came out, and his body no longer had that powerful aura. He looked at Kong Xian and Yang and showed a bitter smile. "You are really powerful. I didn't expect you to be able to defeat my dark dragon." Kong Xian looked at him coldly. "Why are you doing this?" The dark Pokemon King sighed. "I'm tired of this lonely life. I just want to find a real rival to compete with me." The Black Shadow roared. "You sacrificed our master just for this." The dark Pokemon King lowered his head. "I know I was wrong, and I will be punished." Kong Xian took a deep breath. "Now, release the trapped Pokemon?" The dark Pokemon King nodded. He walked to the huge crystal ball and touched it gently. The crystal ball began to vibrate and then cracked. The Pokemon flew out and landed on Kong Xian's shoulder. It rubbed Kong Xian's face with its little wings, as if to comfort him. Kong Xian smiled slightly. "Thank you." The shadow looked at the Pokemon. A hint of tenderness flashed in his eyes. "We are going home." A few days later, Kong Xian and Yang returned to their academy. This is a manor surrounded by ancient trees, with bluestone paved paths winding to various places, and several ancient towers standing tall, each with its own history and legends. The college looks quiet and peaceful under the sunset. Period. Chapter 209. The past was different. However, today's college seems different from the past. 2 rows of torches were erected on both sides of the path that extended to the main classroom. The flames flickered, bringing a touch of warmth to the night. In front of the main classroom, a white altar has been set up, with Master's favorite items placed on it. The students and teachers of the college all wore dark robes. They stood in front of the altar with solemn expressions. Kong Xian and Yang walked to the altar. They held Master 897's father's favorite banana wine and poured it gently on the altar. "Master, I'm back." The shadow's voice was low, with a hint of choking. Kong Xian patted him gently on the shoulder and said forcefully, "We will miss your master forever." A teacher came forward. He was an elder of the college and a good friend of the master. He stood in front of the altar and began to sing an ancient farewell song for Master. The singing resounded throughout the college, and everyone was immersed in the deep sadness. After the song ended, the elder took a deep breath and said, "Black Shadow's master was a great Pokemon master. Although his life has ended, his spirit will always be with us." The students applauded one after another to express their memory of Master and their gratitude to the elders. The Black Shadow stepped forward, stood in front of the altar, and bowed deeply. "Master, I will continue to move forward and complete the unfinished mission for you." Kong Xian also stepped forward. The memorial service ended with deep sadness. But the students and teachers of the college did not leave immediately. They gathered in front of the altar, comforted each other, and shared every moment of their relationship with Master at night. The moonlight shines on the paths of the college. Kong Xian and Hiang sit on a small bridge, each holding a glass of banana wine in their hands, sipping it silently. Master said that life is like banana wine. It is sour at first, but it will become sweet in the end. Hiang said lightly. Kong Xian smiled. So, we must cherish every moment. Black Shadow nodded. Yes, life is short. We should cherish it. The two sat quietly, enjoying this rare moment of peace. Moonlight was like water, shining on their bodies, making them look particularly warm. Kong Xian gently put down his wineglass and looked at the stream flowing quietly under the bridge. The clear stream reflected the moon in the sky, looking like a huge silver coin. You know what? Kong Xian said, when I was a child, I always liked to sit here, watching the reflection of the moon on the water, and imagining that I could jump into the world of Lucas. Hiang looked at Kong Xian and smiled softly. Master once told me that everyone has a moon in their heart, which is their deepest dream and pursuit. Kong Xian nodded and added, but many people lose themselves on the way to chase their dreams and forget their original purpose. The two fell into silence again, with only the gentle flow of the stream and bug buzz in the distance. Suddenly, rapid footsteps came from the distant college. Both of them stood up and saw a student from the academy running over in a hurry. 0.17. Black Shadow, something happened. The student said breathlessly. There is a huge crack appearing in the basement of the college, which seems to be connected to another world. Kong Xian and Hiang immediately understood that this matter was serious, and they followed the students to the basement of the college. When they got there, they saw the huge crack. A strange purple light shines from the cracks, and the surrounding air seems to be distorted. Period. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 210. The Elders of the College. The elders of the college and some senior masters have gathered here. They are using a powerful imprison technique to try to seal the crack. What is this? Black Shadow asked. The elder frowned. We don't know. But the breath coming from this crack is definitely not a good thing. Kong Xian took a deep breath. He could feel the malice and indifference emanating from the crack, as if something was peering at them. We need to know the origin of the crack, Kong Xian said. Maybe then we can find a way to close it. The elder looked at Kong Xian and Hiang. This matter is very dangerous. You must be careful. Kong Xian and the shadow looked at each other, their determination evident. They began to organize a small team and prepared to explore deep into the cracks. In the academy, some senior Pokémon masters volunteered to join them, including Linnea, a Pokémon master who possesses powerful ice Pokémon, and Ren, who masters thunder Pokémon. In front of the crack, the purple light bent and swayed as if it were alive, and the indifference and malice in the air became even stronger. Kong Xian took out a golden ball and tossed it gently. The ball floated above the crack, emitting soft light and lighting up their way forward. This is? Ren asked curiously. The navigation pearl can guide us to walk safely. Kong Xian explained. Linnea waved her hands slowly, summoning a thin layer of ice, and everyone created a solid passage. The four of them carefully stepped into the crack. Passing through the crack, they came to a strange space. Soaring in the sky is purple, and the ground is deep black, shining with a strange light. Not far away, a huge black crystal floats in the air, surrounded by a group of black creatures of various shapes. What is that? Linnea whispered, pointing to the creatures. Kong Xian frowned. I don't know, but they seem to be the cause of this crack. What are we going to do? Black Shadow asked. We need to get close to that crystal and see if we can find a way to seal the crack, Kong Xian said. Kong Xian instantly set up a hidden barrier, blocking their breath and trying not to let those creatures notice their presence. Both Ren and Linnea stared nervously ahead, especially the group of creatures surrounding the black crystal. Linnea patted her Pokémon gently, and a huge ice wolf appeared next to her. She ordered softly, stand by. If things get bad, you know what to do. Ice wolf roared slightly to express his understanding. Kong Xian waved and instructed everyone to follow him to the crystal. They moved carefully in this strange space. Every step seemed to be stepping on the edge of time. Everything around them was so quiet and tense. The black shadow suddenly stopped and whispered, we have been discovered. Sure. Enough. A black creature suddenly turned its head, staring at them with its empty eyes, and then a sharp growl echoed in this strange space. The other creatures also turned their heads. Make eye contact with them. Linaya asked the Pokemon to quickly summon an ice wall to block the first wave of attacks for them, but more black creatures came towards them. Not to be outdone, Ren waved his hands and summoned the Thunder Pokemon. The Pokemon was surrounded by thunder and lightning, and 683 spark fought off waves of enemies with stone fire. But the number of black creatures seems endless, and they seem to be coming from all directions. Kong Xian knew that they must get close to the crystal as soon as possible. He used the staff in his hand to guide the direction and shouted, "Rush forward, only if we get close to the crystal will we have a chance." The Black Shadow waved his double blades, opening a path for everyone, and the Ice Wolf also rushed forward, knocking away the black creatures. Finally, they arrived in front of the huge black crystal. The crystal emits strong energy fluctuations and seems to be connected to their world. Kong Xian stared at the crystal tightly and whispered, "I can feel that this crystal is the source of the crack. But how to close it?" Chapter 211 The Mysterious Halo. Kong Xian took a deep breath, and suddenly a mysterious halo appeared from behind him. The halo gradually expanded, and a figure floated out of it. This is a Pokemon with transparent wings, and its body is shining with stars, as if it is a creature walking out of the starry sky. Space-time. Pokemon. Ren exclaimed. Linaya was also stunned. "I have never heard of anyone being able to summon this kind of Pokemon. This is the legendary god-level Pokemon?" The Shadow also showed a shocked expression. "Kong Xian, have you always hidden such a powerful power?" Kong Xian smiled slightly. "This is my last trump card, and I didn't expect to use it." The time and space Pokemon slowly floated in front of Kong Xian, its eyes shining with wisdom. "Master, what are your instructions for summoning me?" Kong Xian took a deep breath. "I need your power to close this crack." The time and space Pokemon nodded. "I will try my best." It began to fly around Black's crystal, and every time it flew by, it would release a wave of time and space. Those fluctuations interacted with the energy on the crystal, gradually forming a huge space-time vortex. Those black creatures seemed to feel threatened, and they began to rush towards the time and space Pokemon crazily, trying to stop it. But Kong Xian and others don't plan to sit idly by. They began a fierce battle with those black creatures to buy time for the time and space Pokemon. After a fierce battle, the space-time vortex finally formed. It began to absorb the energy in the crack and gradually closed the crack. When the last crack disappeared, the entire space began to shake, as if normal was about to collapse. Kong Xian shouted, "Quick, we have to get out of here." Everyone quickly followed Kong Xian, passed through the vortex of time and space, and returned to the academy. After returning to the academy, everyone showed tired but satisfied expressions. Ren walked up to Kong Xian and patted him on the shoulder. "I didn't expect you to have such a powerful Pokemon." Kong Xian smiled slightly. "This is also my last trump card, and I didn't expect to use it." Linaya also came over. "However, with the time and space Pokemon, we shouldn't have to worry about that crack anymore." Kong Xian nodded. "Yes, but we still need to strengthen our precautions to prevent similar things from happening again." The Black Shadow looked at Kong Xian. "Kong Xian, you are really an amazing dean." Kong Xian smiled slightly. "This is all for the college and our family." Everyone nodded, knowing that with a dean like Kong Xian, the future of the college would be brighter. Kong Xian walked into his apartment, which was a spacious and elegant room with portraits of various Pokemon on the walls and bookshelves filled with various books about Pokemon. He walked to the desk, gently brushed off the dust on the table, and opened a heavy book Pokemon encyclopedia. He turned to the chapter about the college competition and began to read it carefully. The Academy competition is a traditional event of the Evergreen Pokemon Academy. It is held every year and is a large-scale competition within the Academy. Through this competition, the elite within the college can be selected and provided with more resources and opportunities. Kong Xian was immersed in the book. He knew that he must be fully prepared for this competition. He began to list the events of the competition, including singles, doubles, team competition, etc. Each event has detailed rules and scoring standards. Chapter 212 Knock on the door. While he was concentrating on his research, there was a knock on the door. "Come in." Kong Xian said. The door was gently pushed open, and a familiar figure walked in, a dark shadow. "Dean, what are you busy with?" Black Shadow asked. Kong Xian smiled slightly. I am planning the college competition. Do you have any suggestions? He eyeing. Walked to Kong Xian and looked at the book on the table. I think we can add some new competitions, such as the Pokemon Cooperation Competition, allowing Pokemon from 2 Pokemon Masters to cooperate to complete a task. Fall 903. Kong Xian nodded. This is a good suggestion. I will consider it. The two began to discuss the details of the competition. Kong Xian suggested adding a Pokemon knowledge question and answer session to test the students' understanding of Pokemon. Hyang suggested adding some emergencies to the competition to test the students' adaptability. After a long discussion, the two finally finalized a general plan for the competition. Kong Xian took out a piece of paper and began to write down the rules and procedures of the competition. I hope this academy competition will be fairer and more just, and truly select the elite of the academy. Kong Xian said. Black Shadow nodded. I believe that under your leadership, this Yinbi will be a complete success. The two talked for a while, and the Shadow stood up to say goodbye. I still have things to deal with, so I'll leave first. Kong Xian saw him off and then returned to his desk to continue planning the college competition. As night fell, Kong Xian lit the candles on the table and continued working. He knew that this competition was of great significance to the college, and he had to do every detail to ensure the smooth progress of the competition. In this way, Kong Xian worked until late at night, until he lay on the bed exhausted and fell asleep. The next day, Kong Xian summoned the teachers and students of the college and announced the news of the college competition. Everyone was very excited and expressed that they would work hard to participate and achieve good results. Kong Xian looked at their enthusiastic faces and was filled with relief. He knew that as long as everyone worked together, this college competition would be a complete success. A few days later, the square of the Evergreen Pokemon Academy was bustling with people. Colorful flags were flying, and various Pokemon were flying in the air, adding a lot of atmosphere to the upcoming academy competition. The students were all wearing uniforms and chatting excitedly, looking forward to the start of the competition. In the center of the square is a huge stage with various trophies and medals placed on it, sparkling and attracting the attention of many students. On both sides of the stage are auditoriums, which are already full of people, including teachers from the college, parents of students, and some special guests. Suddenly, a dazzling light appeared and soaring in the sky, and then, a huge Pokemon slowly landed on the stage. This is a white Pokemon with wings, and its body is shining with dots of light, as if it is an angel flying from heaven. Everyone looked up and saw Kong Xian standing on the back of this Pokemon. He was wearing a white robe and holding a golden staff, looking majestic. Wow, what kind of Pokemon is that? One student exclaimed. That's an angel Pokemon, a legendary god-level Pokemon. Another student answered, Dean. Kong Xian is really amazing. He actually has such a powerful Pokemon. A female student said enviously. Period. Chapter 213 Angel Pokemon. Kong Xian slowly jumped off the back of the angel Pokemon and walked to the center of the stage. Everyone applauded him. Welcome, everyone, to participate in this college competition. Kong Xian said loudly. We have many new competition events in this competition. I hope everyone can show their strength and win glory for the college. Everyone applauded, and the atmosphere reached a climax. Kong Xian continued, the competition is about to begin. I hope everyone can abide by the rules of the competition, compete fairly, and show their own style. After saying that, Kong Xian turned around and walked towards the auditorium and sat in his seat. The atmosphere of the game gradually became tense. In the square, 2 specially built stadiums were set up on both sides of the stage to allow the audience to clearly see every detail of the game from all angles. The first round singles match was about to begin, and 2 students walked to the center of the stadium. They were Jack from the East District and Amelia from the West District. Both of them are the best in the academy, and this duel is undoubtedly a competition between masters. Jack is wearing a blue jersey, his eyes are firm, and he is obviously full of confidence in this game. Amelia, on the other hand, was wearing a red jersey. There was a hint of nervousness in her eyes, but it was more of anticipation for the game. Are you ready? Jack asked with a smile. Amelia nodded. Of course, I hope this game can help me learn more. The 2 nodded to each other, then retreated to both sides of the stadium, preparing to summon their Pokemon. Jack took a deep breath, clasped his hands together, and began to recite the spell. After a while, a huge flame dragon flew out from behind him. Its body was wrapped in flames, and every movement carried strong heat waves. People in the audience cheered. Obviously, Jack's flame dragon left a deep impression on them. Not to be outdone, Emilia began to chant a spell, and a huge ice phoenix flew out from behind her. The feathers of the ice phoenix are like crystal clear ice crystals. Every time it flaps its wings, it will bring up pieces of ice. Cirrus. Two powerful Pokémon faced off in the air, with fire, ice and snow colliding with each other, creating a strong contrast. Start. The referee announced loudly. The flame dragon launched the attack first, opening its huge mouth and spitting a stream of flames at the ice phoenix. The ice phoenix flew up quickly, dodged the attack of the flames, and then used its ice crystal wings to slash at the flame dragon. Please give me flowers. The two Pokémon started a fierce battle in the air, with fire and ice and snow constantly colliding, creating huge energy fluctuations that people in the audience took a breath. The intensity of this game exceeded their imagination. Both Jack and Emilia stared closely at their Pokémon and kept issuing commands, hoping to win the game. The battle between the flame dragon and the ice phoenix lasted for a long time, with neither side gaining a clear advantage. But as time went by, the flame dragon was obviously a little unable to do its job, and its flames were no longer so fierce, while the ice phoenix became more and more brave as it fought. In the end, Ice Phoenix successfully hit the flame dragon with its ice crystal wings and defeated it. Winner, Emilia. The referee announced. The people in the audience applauded Emilia. She successfully won the game. Jack walked up to Emilia and smiled slightly. Congratulations, you won this game beautifully. Chapter 214 Stadium. Emilia smiled slightly. Thank you, you are also very strong. The two shook hands and left the stadium. After the game, the atmosphere in the square was still warm. The students gathered in a small circle and discussed the competition just now. Everyone's face was filled with excitement and anticipation. Kong Xian stood by the stage and talked with several instructors around him. These instructors are all senior teachers in the college, and 290, and they all have a profound understanding and research on Pokémon. That game was really exciting. Both Jack and Emilia showed their strength. A middle-aged mentor wearing glasses said. Kong Xian nodded. Yes, they are all the pride of our academy. The showdown between the flame dragon and the ice phoenix is really a visual feast. Another female instructor added. Emilia's control skills of ice phoenix are really outstanding. She showed calmness and wisdom at critical moments. Kong Xian smiled slightly. Yes, she is indeed very talented. But Jack is not bad either. His flame dragon is very powerful in attack, but it is slightly lacking in sustained combat. A lanky instructor interjected. This is also a challenge they need to face as they grow up. Every game is an opportunity for them to grow. Kong Xian said seriously. You are right. Our task is to create more opportunities for them and let them continue to grow in the game. The female instructor nodded. This academy competition is really a good platform. I believe that through this competition, our students will make greater progress. Kong Xian looked at the enthusiastic students in the square and said with deep feeling, yes, I hope so too. The middle-aged instructor wearing glasses suddenly laughed. Speaking of which, Kong Xian, your angel Pokémon is really shocking. I was even scared. Kong Xian smiled slightly. That's just a little secret of mine. I hope it can bring you some surprises at the critical moment. The female tutor said mischievously. Do you have any other little secrets? We are all curious. Kong Xian smiled and shook his head. This is a secret. I can't tell you easily. Several instructors laughed and the atmosphere became relaxed. Kong Xian looked at soaring in the sky and said, it's getting late. We still have a lot of work to do to prepare for the next game. Several instructors nodded, then left and began to get busy. As the singles match ended, the atmosphere in the square became more enthusiastic. The students were discussing the upcoming doubles match and looking forward to a more intense duel on the stage. 4 students are ready. They are Reno and Lily from the North District, and Nick and Sarah from the South District. They are all the best in the academy, and this doubles match is undoubtedly a competition between Masters. Reno and Lily stood on one side of the stage, both wearing green jerseys 5.5, looking very coordinated. Nick and Sarah stood on the other side of the stage, wearing purple jerseys and looking very harmonious. Are you ready? Nick looked at Reno and Lily opposite and smiled. Reno nodded. Of course, we are fully prepared. Lily added, hopefully this game will allow us to learn more. Chapter 215. Let's get started. Sarah smiled slightly. Then let's get started. 17. The 4 of them retreated to both sides of the stage and began to summon their Pokémon. Reno took a deep breath, clasped his hands together, and began to recite the spell. After a while, a huge gargoyle flew out from behind him. Its body was as hard as stone, and every movement carried strong vibrations. Lily also started to summon, and a beautiful Narcissus Pokémon flew out from behind her. Its body was as transparent as water, and every time it flapped its wings, it would bring up pieces of water splash. Not to be outdone, Nick and Sarah summoned a Thunder Eagle and a Wind Pokémon respectively. Thunder Eagle's body flashes with spark, while Wind Pokémon 14 is like a breeze. Erratic 4 powerful Pokémon face off in the air, and the 4 elements of stone, water, electricity, and wind collided with each other, creating a strong contrast. Start. The referee announced loudly. The gargoyle attacked first. It rushed towards the Thunder Eagle and Wind Pokémon, trying to knock them away with its hard body. But the Thunder Eagle quickly flew up, dodged the gargoyle's attack, and then used Spark to slash at the gargoyle. The Wind Pokémon had a fierce battle with the Narcissus Pokémon. They were flying in the air, casting magic on each other, trying to defeat each other. The people in the audience took a breath. The intensity of this game exceeded their imagination. Both Reno and Lily stared closely at their Pokémon and continued to issue instructions, hoping to win the game. Nick and Sarah were not to be outdone. They intertwined with the instructions of Reno and Lily, forming a wonderful tactical duel. The competition was very intense, with 4 Pokémon engaging in a fierce battle in the air, with every attack carrying strong energy fluctuations. In the audience, the students cheered loudly for the team they supported. Every time there was a wonderful hit, there would be a round of applause. Especially when the strong collision between the Thunder Eagle and the gargoyle produced huge energy fluctuations. The entire square was shaken. Reno, left! Lily shouted, and her Daffodil Pokémon quickly floated to the left, avoiding the sharp attack of the Wind Pokémon. Reno followed closely behind, commanding the gargoyle to charge towards the Thunder Eagle. But Nick had obviously anticipated his move. He sneered and commanded the Thunder Eagle to rise quickly, avoiding the gargoyle's attack. Sarah continued to direct the Wind Pokémon and Narcissus Pokémon to fight. The two were like normal dancers in the air, spinning rapidly and chasing each other. Careful! Nick suddenly shouted, and he saw the gargoyle preparing to launch a powerful attack. The Thunder Eagle flew back quickly, but was still hit by the gargoyle's punch. The huge impact caused the Thunder Eagle to lose its balance instantly. Seeing the opportunity coming, Lily quickly commanded the Narcissus Pokémon to attack the Thunder Eagle. The Narcissus Pokémon quickly flew to the side of the Thunder Eagle and scratched the Thunder Eagle's body with its sharp petals. The Thunder Eagle let out a painful growl, but quickly regained its balance, and then quickly counterattacked, hitting the Daffodil Pokémon with Spark. The atmosphere in the audience became more and more tense. Everyone held their breath and watched the competition on the stage nervously. Nick and Sarah began to work together seamlessly, and their instructions intertwined to form a powerful attack wave. Reno and Lily are constantly adjusting their strategies, trying to find each other's weaknesses. The game has been going on for half an hour, and all 4 Pokémon seem a little tired. But they still persisted and continued to attack. Suddenly, the Wind Pokémon launched a powerful whirlwind attack, directly involving the gargoyle and Narcissus Pokémon. The two kept spinning in the whirlwind, looking very embarrassed. Reno and Lily hurriedly issued instructions, trying to get their Pokémon out of the whirlwind. But the attack of the Wind Pokémon was too strong, and their Pokémon was trapped in it, unable to escape. Nick saw the opportunity coming, and shouted, "Now!" The Thunder Eagle quickly flew above the whirlwind, and then directly hit the gargoyle and Daffodil Pokémon with Spark. The two twisted painfully in the spark, and then fell together, obviously unable to continue fighting. Winners, Nick and Sarah. The referee announced loudly. The people in the audience applauded Nick and Sarah for successfully winning the game. Reno and Lily walked up to Nick and Sarah and smiled slightly. "Congratulations, you won this game beautifully." Nick smiled slightly. "Thank you, you are also very strong." The 4 shook hands and then left the stage. Chapter 216. In the passion of the game. The spectators in the square were still immersed in the excitement of the just concluded game and were talking a lot. At the front of the auditorium, in a slightly taller special seat, Dean Kong Xian and several senior tutors gathered together, with expressions of satisfaction and seriousness on their faces. Kong Xian clapped the folder in his hand, attracting the attention of other instructors, and then said, "This competition is really exciting. The performance of the 4 students exceeded my expectations." A middle-aged mentor wearing gold-rimmed glasses nodded, "Yes, especially Reno and Lily. Their cooperation is very tacit. If it weren't for that last blow, they would probably win the game." A female instructor next to him added, "Nick and Sarah are also excellent. Their tactics change very quickly and they can respond to different situations quickly. Kong Xian nodded. This is also the goal of our education. It is not only to cultivate the students' strength, but also to cultivate their tactical awareness and teamwork ability. Another instructor said, I think the biggest highlight of this competition is the Pokemon summoning skills of the 4 students. They are all able to control their Pokemon well, which is very rare. Kong Xian smiled slightly. This is also the result of their years of hard work combined with our education. I believe they will make greater progress in the future. The middle-aged instructor wearing glasses suddenly said, Kong Xian, do you think they have the chance to achieve better results in future competitions? Kong Xian thought for a while and then said, I believe they have this potential, but they still need more practical experience and training. Our task is to create more opportunities for them and let them continue to grow in the game. The female mentor said, I think we should provide them with more resources and support to help them develop better. Kong Xian nodded, you are right, we will do our best to provide them with the best conditions. The middle-aged instructor wearing glasses suddenly laughed. Speaking of which, Kong Xian, your angel Pokemon is really shocking. I was even frightened. Kong Xian smiled slightly. That's just a little secret of mine. I hope it can bring you some surprises at the critical moment. The female tutor said mischievously, do you have any other little secrets? We are all curious. Kong Xian smiled and shook his head. This is a secret, I can't tell you easily. Several instructors laughed and the atmosphere became relaxed. Kong Xian looked at soaring in the sky and said, it's getting late. We still have a lot of work to do to prepare for the next game. Several instructors nodded, then left and began to get busy. Kong Xian stood in front of the auditorium, looking across the square and landing on the ancient buildings of the college. Under the moonlight, those buildings look more solemn and mysterious. He knows that every stone and leaf in the college hides countless stories and secrets. Just as he was immersed in his thoughts, a familiar figure walked over. It's Yuang, a senior tutor at the college and an old friend of Kong Xian. Kong Xian, what are you thinking about? Yuang asked softly. Kong Xian turned around and smiled slightly. I was thinking that our students are really outstanding. Yuang nodded. Yes, their performance is indeed impressive. But I feel that you seem a little worried. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 217. The college has a long history. Kong Xian sighed. You know, the academy has a long history, and there are many secrets that we don't know. I'm worried that someone will have bad thoughts about the academy because of these secrets. Yuang was silent for a moment, and then said, are you referring to the legendary mysterious stone? Kong Xian nodded. Yes, that stone is said to have endless power and can summon the most powerful Pokemon. Although this is just a legend, I am worried that someone will attack because of it. Yuang smiled slightly. You are always so cautious. However, I have also heard some rumors, and it seems that someone 200 has begun to become interested in the academy. A cold light flashed in Kong Xian's eyes. If they dare to come, I will let them know that the Evergreen Pokemon Academy is not so easy to be violated. Yuang nodded. I believe you. However, we must also be prepared to ensure the safety of the academy. The two stood side by side with firm eyes, as if declaring to the outside world that they would protect the academy to the end. Suddenly, a hint of vigilance flashed in Kong Xian's eyes. Do you feel it? Yuang nodded. Someone is observing us secretly. Becked. Kong Xian took a deep breath. It seems that they have already started to take action. Yuang smiled slightly. Then we can't sit still and wait for death. Kong Xian nodded. Tomorrow, I will gather all the instructors and outstanding students to discuss countermeasures. Moon Shadow said, I will support you. They knew that a storm was coming, but they were all prepared and would pay any price to protect the academy. And in the darkness in the distance, a mysterious figure left quietly, his eyes flashing coldly, as if he was planning something. The conversation between Kong Xian and Yuang was interrupted by a gust of wind, which seemed to carry a strange aura. Kong Xian frowned, feeling a little uneasy. Yuang, what do you think of this wind? Before Mr. Kong could finish his words, he saw Yuang's expression change drastically. This is shadow wind. Yuang said hurriedly. Shadow Wind is a very rare phenomenon that is said to only appear near certain powerful Pokémon. Such Pokémon are often ancient, powerful, and have a certain purpose. Kong Xian looked around nervously, trying to find the source of this shadow wind. But there was silence all around, except for the sound of the wind whistling in my ears. We have to be careful, Kong Xian whispered. This kind of wind means there are powerful Pokémon approaching, and their intentions will not be kind. Yuang nodded. She knew the horror of shadow wind because she had encountered it once a long time ago. The two decided to return to the academy to strengthen defenses and ensure the safety of the students. But when they walked to the college gate, they found that the gate was surrounded by a layer of black mist, making it impossible to enter. This is the Mist of Imprison, Yuang exclaimed. Imprison Mist is a powerful Pokémon skill that can block all entering creatures. Unless this imprison is broken, they cannot enter. Kong Xian frowned. He knew that the enemy this time was definitely not simple. He decided to find other mentors first, and then work together to crack the imprison. But when they found other mentors, they found that they were also trapped in their respective offices by imprison's fog and could not come out. Period. Chapter 218. Fully prepared. It seems that the enemy this time has been fully prepared. Kong Xian said. Yuang nodded. We must crack this imprison as soon as possible, otherwise the students of the academy will be in danger. The two decided to split up. Kong Xian went to find other senior instructors, while Yuang went to the library to find a way to break the Mist of Imprison. In the library, Yuang found an ancient book that recorded how to crack the Mist of Imprison. But this method requires 5 powerful Pokémon masters to join forces to succeed. Yuang immediately contacted Kong Xian and told him the news. Kong Xian also found other senior mentors, and they decided to take action immediately. 5 Pokémon masters stood in the center of the academy and began to cast powerful magic. As their spells grew louder, Imprison's quest slowly began to dissipate. Just when they were about to succeed, 5 black shadows suddenly flew out of the imprisoned fog and rushed towards them. These 5 shadows are 5 powerful shadow Pokémon whose purpose is very clear, which is to prevent them from cracking Imprison. Kong Xian and the other 4 Pokémon masters immediately summoned their own Pokémon and started a fierce battle with the shadow Pokémon in the square. The battle between 5 Pokémon masters and 5 shadow Pokémon intensified. Every attack is accompanied by strong energy fluctuations, making the surrounding air become hot. Kong Xian summoned his angel Pokémon, a beautiful Pokémon with golden wings. It flaps its wings and emits golden beams of light to fight against the shadow Pokémon. We must end this battle as soon as possible. Kong Xian shouted loudly. Yuang also summoned her Pokémon, a snow fox with a cold attribute. Snow Fox sent out a series of cold ice arrows, trying to freeze the shadow Pokémon. But the shadow Pokémon are very powerful, and their attacks are very fierce, making the 5 Pokémon masters feel a lot of pressure every time. We must join forces. Kong Xian shouted. The 5 Pokémon masters immediately formed a magic circle and began to cast a powerful magic. As their spells became louder and louder, a strong light began to shine from the center of the magic circle. The shadow Pokémon felt threatened, and they began to make sharp growl sounds in an attempt to break the magic circle. But with the efforts of the 5 Pokémon masters, the magic circle became more and more stable and the light became brighter and brighter. Please give me flowers. Suddenly, a strong light burst out from the center of the magic circle, shooting straight into the sky. The light illuminated the entire square, and everyone was shocked by the strong light. When the light dissipated, the 5 shadow Pokémon had disappeared, leaving only 5 Pokémon masters standing there with tired expressions on their faces. We succeeded. Kong Xian gasped. Yuang nodded. Yes, but this is only temporary. I feel that these 5 shadow Pokémon are just testing us. Kong Xian frowned. You mean, there are more powerful enemies behind? Yuang nodded. Yes, I feel a very powerful aura, which is more powerful than these 5 shadow Pokémon. Kong Xian took a deep breath. Then we must be prepared and not let the academy suffer any harm. Yuang nodded. I will go to the library to find more information and see if there is any way to fight against such a powerful enemy. Kong Xian said, Okay, I will call all the mentors and students for an emergency meeting to discuss countermeasures. Chapter 219. Split up. The 2 of them split up, and Kong Xian summoned all the instructors and students for an emergency meeting in the hall of the college. We are facing an unprecedented crisis, Kong Xian said on stage, but I believe that as long as we unite as one, we will be able to defeat this powerful enemy. All The instructors and students applauded to show their support at this moment. Suddenly, the college's alarm sounded, and the entire 357 college was surrounded by a layer of black mist. Kong Xian's expression changed drastically. It came so fast. Yu Ying rushed in with a nervous expression on his face. Kong Xian, that powerful enemy has arrived. Kong Xian took a deep breath, then let's fight. In haze, a pair of fiery red eyes gradually appeared. It was a huge flame Pokémon. Its body was entirely made of flames, and it had an overwhelming aura. It held a spear in its hand, with a sharp tip and flames burning around it. Kong Xian frowned, turned to the instructor and students and said, "Be prepared, we can't let him enter the academy." An ancient magic book appeared in Yu Ying's hand, and she quickly flipped through it, looking for magic that could fight the fire Pokémon. Other instructors and students also summoned their Pokémon, forming a strong line of defense. The fire Pokémon looked at them proudly, and suddenly it swung its spear, and a huge fireball flew towards the academy. Kong Xian immediately summoned his wind Pokémon, creating a powerful wall of wind to block the fireball. The energy of the two collided in the air, causing a huge explosion that shook the entire academy. Yu Ying clasped his hands together, chanted in a low voice, and shot a beam of ice and snow magic at the fire Pokémon, trying to freeze it. But the fire Pokémon resisted it with a fire shield, and the ice, snow and fire tackled together, producing a lot of water vapor. "We must join forces to fight him." Kong Xian shouted. "I have a way, but I need your help." Yu Ying said. She quickly communicated the plan with Kong Xian and then began to recite complex incantations. The instructors and students of the academy began to sing ancient magic spells around Yu Ying. The fire Pokémon felt threatened, and it began to launch stronger attacks. Kong Xian summoned his earth Pokémon and created a solid wall of earth, sealing off all the fire Pokémon. Finally, Moon Shadow completed her magic. She splashed high, clasped her hands together, and cast a powerful ice magic at the fire Pokémon. The fire Pokémon tried to resist, but this time it failed and was frozen by the powerful ice and snow magic. The entire academy cheered as they successfully fought off the fire Pokémon. "Thank you, Yu Ying," Kong Xian said. "This is only a temporary victory," Yu Ying said. "The powerful enemy has not yet fully revealed its true power. Why? We need to make more preparations," Kong Xian said. "But now, we should celebrate our victory." The instructors and students of the college began to celebrate, but both Kong Xian and Yu Ying knew that this was only temporary peace. They must find out the real power behind the fire Pokémon to ensure the safety of the academy. A few days later, Kong Xian found an ancient book in the library. The book records an ancient legend about a powerful dark force. This force was imprisoned in ancient times, but now it seems to be reawakening, looking for opportunities for revenge. "We have to find ways to imprison it," Kong Xian said. Period. Chapter 220. I will help you. "I will help you," Moon Shadow said, "but we need more information and power." The two decided to go to the ancient land of Imprison to find the method of the dark forces of Imprison, located on the west side of the Evergreen Pokemon Academy, hidden in an ancient forest. It is a mysterious place forgotten by time. Legend has it that the secrets of ancient power are hidden here. The two walked through the forest and along a winding path. The air in the forest is thick and cool, and the ancient trees are intertwined, as if guarding a hidden secret. The wild Pokemon along the way looked slightly alert, as if they had sensed their intention. Kong Xian looked ahead, his eyes full of determination. "This time we must find the Imprison 14 method." Yu Ying nodded. She saw a water Pokemon jumping in the lake, with a wary look in her eyes. She whispered, "Kong Xian, do you think we can really find it?" Kong Xian looked at her and smiled. "Faith, Yu Ying. We must have faith." After walking for a while, they finally came to the entrance of a cave hidden behind a rock. This cave is the legendary ancient Imprison land. When they entered the cave, the first thing they saw were countless rock statues. Each statue is a Pokemon in a fighting stance, as if waiting to be summoned. Moon Shadow summoned her light Pokemon, lighting up the front for the two of them. Going deep into the cave, they saw a huge stone door with a strange pattern carved on it, which was the gate of Imprison described in the book. Kong Xian looked at the pattern on the door and thought seriously, "This Imprison method should be related to this door." Yu Ying touched the stone door with her hand and felt a hint of cold breath. She said, "This place is full of ancient magic. We need to be cautious." Suddenly, the pattern on the stone door began to glow, and the entire cave was filled with vibrations. A strong beam of light shot out from the stone door, shrouding Kong Xian and Yuang. Quick, use your Pokemon's power. Kong Xian shouted. Moon Shadow immediately summoned her ice Pokemon, while Kong Xian summoned his earth Pokemon, and the two combined their magic with the Pokemon's power to try to fight this powerful energy zone. After a fierce battle, the light was finally successfully blocked by them, and the stone door slowly opened, revealing a huge stone chamber. In the center of the stone chamber, there is a floating ancient scroll. Kong Xian and Yu Ying walked over, and they recognized this as the legendary imprison method. But at this moment, a cold voice sounded, "Do you really think you can stop me?" In the darkness, a pair of cold blue eyes gradually appeared. It was a dark Pokemon summoner who had been in prison for many years. Kong Xian held the scroll tightly and whispered to Yuang, "Be prepared, this battle has just begun." Moon Shadow nodded slowly, and she summoned her 127 Starlight Pokemon to prepare for the coming attack. The dark Pokemon summoner waved the long black staff in his hand, and the head of the staff released cold blue light, instantly forming a huge frozen magic circle, trying to freeze Kong Xian and Yuang in it. "Quick, use the fire Pokemon!" Yuang shouted. Kong Xian quickly summoned the fire Pokemon, combined with Yuang's star Pokemon, and released intense flames and starlight to fight against a frozen magic circle. Under the fierce collision, firelight, starlight and cold blue light intertwined, illuminating the entire stone chamber. The dark Pokemon summoner sneered, "You think you can stop me like this?" He summoned multiple shadow Pokemon warriors in an attempt to beat up Kong Xian and Moon Shadow from all directions. Chapter 221. Waving the lightsaber. Kong Xian and Yuang faced the shadow Pokemon warriors from all directions amidst the ridicule of the dark Pokemon summoners. The figures of these dark creatures are as erratic as ghosts and seem to have no entity, but their attacks are real and deadly. Kong Xian's eyes were firm, and he said not to be ignored, "Yuang, we must deal with these shadow Pokemon separately, and we cannot let them surround us." Moony nodded, her star Pokemon swinging its lightsaber, ready to deal with some of the shadow Pokemon at the same time. She could also feel Kong Xian's earth Pokemon getting ready to fight another group of enemies. The shadow Pokemon warriors approached quickly in the darkness, and their goal was clear, to eliminate Kong Xian and Yuang in the stone room. Moon Shadow's Starlight Pokemon took the lead in attacking, and the Starlight Sword cut through the darkness and emitted a bright flash, lighting up the battlefield. Kong Xian's Earth Pokemon turned itself into a solid Earth Wall, trying to block the attacks of other Shadow Pokemon. The Earth Wall suddenly became an indestructible barrier, blocking the invasion of darkness. Kong Xian and Yuang's tacit cooperation allowed them to maintain stability in the ever-changing battle. They cooperated with each other and used the power of Starlight and Field to repel waves of Shadow Pokemon. However, the Dark Pokemon Summoner was not idle. He continued to release frozen magic circles in the distance, trying to weaken the resistance of the two warriors. Moon Shadow's Star Pokemon kept dancing with its lightsaber, defeating the Shadow Pokemon one by one, but a large number of enemies continued to come. She was out of breath, but kept going at the same time. Kong Xian's Earth Pokemon continued to withstand attacks from Shadow Pokemon. Many cracks appeared on the surface of the Earth Wall, but it still stood there, providing valuable protection for Kong Xian. The Dark Pokemon Summoner sneered and said, "Your resistance is in vain, and you will be defeated by me sooner or later." The battle in the stone chamber is in full swing, with Yuang and Kong Xian struggling to resist, but the number of Shadow Pokemon seems to be endless. They felt that their physical strength was gradually depleted, but they still persisted and refused to give up. Kong Xian and Yuang stood firm in the stone chamber, facing more and more Shadow Pokemon warriors. Their bodies were already feeling tired, but their inner determination became stronger. Moon Shadow's Starlight Pokemon waved its lightsaber, emitting a bright flash, lighting up the battlefield, and she shouted, "We can't let them encircle us, we have to keep our distance." Kong Xian's Earth Pokemon continued to turn itself into a solid Earth Wall, withstanding the attack of another part of the Shadow Pokemon. The Earthen Wall is full of cracks, but it still stands. The Shadow Pokemon warriors are getting closer and closer, and their attacks become more fierce. Moon Shadow's Starlight Pokemon kept swinging the lightsaber, trying to repel the enemies, but a large number of enemies still made her feel powerless. Kong Xian's Earth Pokemon is also feeling the pressure, and the field wall has begun to collapse. Kong Xian and Yuang are in a desperate situation, facing an endless flow of Shadow Pokemon. The Earth Wall has collapsed, and Kong Xian's Earth Pokemon turned into earth and rocks and scattered on the ground. Zhao Zhao, but he did not flinch and stood firm. Yuang's sweat had soaked her forehead, and her breathing was rapid, but her eyes remained firm. She said, Kong Xian, we must find a way to get out of trouble, otherwise we will be trapped here by these guys and die. Kong Xian nodded. He knew Yu Ying was right. Continuing to be beaten passively like this is not an option. He responded, I have a plan, Mooney, you keep blocking them and I'll get it done as soon as possible. Chapter 222 Walking out of Rock Barrier. Yu Ying didn't say much. She continued to wave the Starlight Sword and repel the shadow Pokemon one by one, but her power was no longer as good as before. Kong Xian quickly began to chant the incantation. His voice was like the sound of the earth. Calm and majestic echoes came from the ancient imprisoned ground. With Kong Xian's spell, the ground began to tremble, and rock fragments fell from the ceiling, forming a temporary rock barrier to separate the shadow Pokemon. Kong Xian took the opportunity and strode out of the rock barrier. He raised the staff in his hand and released a huge earth magic. The earth wall rises from the ground like an impenetrable wall, isolating shadow Pokemon. 263 Yu Ying saw this and hurriedly followed Kong Xian. She knew that now was the opportunity to break through. The two quickly broke out of prison and regained their freedom. The sunshine of Yanhuan continent shone on them. Yu Ying gasped and sighed. Finally they came out. Those shadow Pokemon are really abominable. Kong Xian nodded. He also felt tired, but he knew that this battle was not over yet. He said, we must stop the dark Pokemon summoner, otherwise he will continue to release shadow Pokemon to harm the mainland. The two quickly started tracking, following the traces left by the ancient imprisoned land. Soon, they came to a dark cave entrance and could feel a powerful dark force there. After entering the cave, the two found the dark Pokemon summoner. He was standing in front of an altar, constantly releasing dark magic. He noticed the arrival of Kong Xian and Yu Ying. With a sneer on his lips, the dark Pokemon summoner taunted, you can't escape. My army of dark Pokemon is endless, and you will eventually be swallowed up. Kong Xian said calmly, your conspiracy will never succeed, and the power of the devil will not defeat the light. Yu Ying stood next to Kong Xian, her star Pokemon blooming brightly, injecting the power of hope into their battle. She said, we will stop your plans, no matter what the cost. Beb, the battle broke out again. Kong Xian waved his staff and released earth magic, defeating the shadow Pokemon. Moon Shadow's starlight Pokemon dances its lightsaber, emitting bright starlight to fight against the dark power of the shadow Pokemon. Not to be outdone, the dark Pokemon summoner released more powerful dark magic, trying to defeat Kushua with shadow. The battle in the cave is extremely fierce, and the forces of darkness and light are intertwined in the space. Kong Xian and Yu Ying's tacit cooperation allowed them to deal with the offensive of dark Pokemon summoners. They protect each other and stand firmly on the side of light. Finally, the dark magic of the dark Pokemon summoner gradually weakened and his power was exhausted. Kong Xian took the opportunity to release powerful earth magic, binding him in place. The dark Pokemon summoner could not move, and he gritted his teeth and said, you have won, but this is only temporary. The atmosphere in the cave fell into tense silence. Kong Xian and Yu Ying looked at each other, knowing that they must take action as soon as possible to stop the dark Pokemon summoner's conspiracy. However, they also knew that although the enemy in front of them was restrained, they would never give in easily. Kong Xian walked towards the altar, holding the staff tightly, determined to end this threat once and for all. He said, your dark plan has failed, now it is time to put down your conspiracy and accept trial. Chapter 223 The Irresistible Force. The dark Pokemon summoner laughed. Judgment? You people of light are always self-righteous and think you can control everything, but you will never understand the power of darkness. Moon Shadow also walked to the altar, her star Pokemon lightsaber still shining brightly. She said, we are not trying to dominate everything, we just want to maintain the balance of the world. Darkness is not the solution. Kong Xian and Yu Ying began to work together to release a beam of light magic, gradually dissipating the dark magic on the altar. The dark Pokemon summoner felt his power draining away. He struggled, but the restraint remained indestructible. He cursed in a low voice, you self-righteous guys will never understand the beauty of darkness. The light magic is getting stronger and stronger, and the dark magic on the altar has been almost completely dispelled. The determination and strength of Kong Xian and Yu Ying came together to form an irresistible force. Eventually, the roar of the dark Pokemon summoner was drowned in the light, and his body began to gradually dissipate, eventually turning into black smoke and disappearing. The darkness in the cave gradually faded, replaced by bright light. Kong Xian and Yu Ying stood in front of the altar and completed their mission. They know that although the dark Pokemon summoners have been eliminated, their work is not over yet. Kong Xian said, this is just a stage of victory, we must ensure that no one will abuse the power of darkness again. Yu Ying nodded, yes, We need to continue to protect this continent and protect the peace of Pokémon and humans. In the cave, the magic of light emits warm light, repelling all darkness. The power of Kong Xian and Yu Ying merged to make this ancient imprisoned land full of life again. The dark magic on the altar was completely covered by light, and the disappearance of the dark Pokémon summoner restored tranquility to the cave. Kong Xian and Yu Ying were relieved, but they knew that this was just the beginning of victory. Kong Xian looked at Yu Ying, smiled and said, "Yu Ying, we succeeded. The threat of dark Pokémon summoners has completely disappeared." Yu Ying nodded, with a firm light in her eyes. "Yes, but we can't take it lightly. The power of darkness will always find a new outlet. We must remain vigilant. Please give me flowers." The two began to leave the altar and set foot into the depths of the cave again. They know this place was once a dangerous trap, but now it has been transformed into a place of victory for them. However, just as they were moving forward, there was suddenly a low roar. A huge dark creature emerged from the depths of the cave. Its eyes flashed with fierce light, and it looked extremely terrifying. Kong Xian and Yu Ying immediately prepared themselves for this sudden threat. Kong Xian raised his staff, preparing to release the magic of earth, while Yu Ying also raised his starlight sword, preparing to fight. The huge dark creature roared, and a shock wave of dark energy struck them. Kong Xian quickly released his earth magic, forming a solid earth wall to block the shock wave. Moonshadow's starlight Pokémon jumped into the air, and she waved her lightsaber, emitting a dazzling starlight. The light of the starlight sword collided fiercely with the dark energy, making a harsh buzzing sound. Kong Xian worked hard to maintain the stability of the earth wall, but the power of the dark creatures was extremely powerful, and cracks began to appear in the earth wall. He knew that time was running out and he had to find an opportunity to find a knife. Period. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 224. Dark creatures cannot break free. Yu Ying continued to attack, and the starlight sword slashed across the body of the dark creature, but the opponent seemed not to be harmed. Her mind moved and she thought of a way. Yu Ying shouted, "Kong Xian, we must attack its eyes, that is its weak point." Kong Xian nodded. He concentrated on using earth magic to guide the dark creature's sight towards him. This gave Yu Ying the opportunity to swing the star sword accurately and aim at the dark creature's eyes. 757. The starlight sword pierced the dark creature's eye, making a sharp buzzing sound. The dark creature let out a shrill howl and twisted its body in pain. Kong Xian immediately took advantage of this opportunity and released powerful earth magic to fix the body of the dark creature to the ground. The dark creature could not break free. Finally, its body gradually collapsed and dissipated into a puff of black smoke. Just as Kong Xian and Yu Ying were about to celebrate their victory, the black smoke in the cave suddenly regrouped and turned into a more powerful enemy. The body of this dark creature is larger than before, and its eyes are shining with evil light, as if it is the incarnation of the god of darkness. Kong Xian and Yu Ying couldn't help but become nervous when faced with this incredible turn of events. This time rival is obviously more powerful than the previous dark Pokémon summoners, and they must remain vigilant. The dark creature let out a deep roar, and a dark energy surged from it, filling the entire cave. Kong Xian felt that this energy was extremely powerful, far beyond their imagination. Moonshadow stood next to Kong Xian, her starlight Pokémon twinkling, infusing them with power. She said, "The power of this dark creature is far beyond our imagination, and we must work together to fight it." Kong Xian nodded and raised his staff, ready to release the magic of earth. However, the dark creature's attack came faster, and a dark energy beam shot towards them. Kong Xian urgently released the magic of earth, creating an earth wall to block the beam. The earth wall suffered heavy damage in an instant and was full of cracks, but it still stood there. The attacks of dark creatures seemed to be increasing, and Kong Xian's earth wall is in danger. Moonshadow wields the starlight sword, emitting bright starlight, trying to stop the attack of dark creatures. The light of the starlight sword collides fiercely with the power of darkness, emitting a dazzling ember. The dark creature roared. It seemed to feel the pain, but it still kept releasing dark attacks. The atmosphere in the cave is extremely tense, and life and death hang on a thread. Kong Xian realizes that they must find the weakness of the dark creature, otherwise they will not be able to defeat it. He said to Yu Ying, "We must find its weakness, otherwise this battle will not end." Yu Ying nodded, and she continued to use the star sword to resist the attacks of darkness. While trying to observe dark creatures, suddenly, she noticed a faint light spot on the dark creature's chest, which seemed to be its weakness. Yuang told Kong Xian, "There's a weak spot on its chest. We must target there and attack." Kong Xian's heart moved, and he knew this was their only chance. He concentrated again and used earth magic to block the attack of the dark creature while guiding its sight towards him. Yuang immediately seized the opportunity, swung the starlight sword, and aimed 3.1 at the chest of the dark creature. The light of the starlight sword accurately hit the weak point of light, and the dark creature let out a huge roar. Kong Xian took the opportunity to release the magic of earth, fixing the body of the dark creature to the ground. The dark creature struggles, but cannot fight. Moon Shadow kept attacking that weak spot, and the light of the starlight sword pierced the chest of the dark creature, emitting a bright light. Chapter 225. Overcoming this huge challenge. The dark creature let out a terrible howl and twisted in pain, but it could not escape. Moon Shadow's attacks continued, and the light of the starlight sword illuminated the entire cave, as if to drive away the evil of the dark creatures forever. Upon seeing this, Kong Xian released the magic of earth again, fixing the body of the dark creature to the ground. The dark creature has reached the edge of life. Its body gradually collapses and dissipates into a black smoke, which can no longer condense. Silence returned to the cave, and after the black smoke dissipated, an empty place was left. Kong Xian and Yuang breathed a sigh of relief. They finally defeated this powerful enemy. Yuang put away the starlight sword, and her starlight Pokémon gradually returned to calm. 14. She looked at Kong Xian and smiled. "We succeeded, Kong Xian." Kong Xian nodded, feeling tired but also full of satisfaction. He said, "Yes, Moon Shadow, we overcame this huge challenge together." The light in the cave gradually became brighter, shining on them through the walls of the cave. These star-like points of light flickered, as if celebrating their victory. Kong Xian and Yuang began to explore this ancient imprisoned place. The cave is filled with mysterious runes and murals depicting ancient legends and mysterious rituals. They know that this place contains endless secrets and power. Yuang walked to a mural and carefully observed the patterns on it. She said, "These murals seem to tell an ancient story about Pokémon's confrontation with dark forces." Kong Xian walked to her side and stared at the mural. Together in the pattern, Pokémon warriors travel through dangerous areas, fight against dark creatures, and finally use mysterious power to imprison the dark forces. The story seemed to resonate eerily with their experiences. He said, "Perhaps this is the challenge we face now, to continue to find ways of imprison dark forces." Yuang nodded. She deeply absorbed the information in the mural, trying to understand this ancient ritual. She said, "We need more clues. Maybe there are other hints in this cave." The two continued to move forward, passing through an ancient corridor, and came to a huge altar. The altar is engraved with complex runes and is dotted with luminous gems, exuding mysterious power. Kong Xian looked around, and he could feel that there was powerful magic here. He said, "This altar seems to be part of imprison, and maybe we can find a way to unblock it through it." Yuang walked to the altar, stretched out her hand, and gently touched the runes on the altar. She closed her eyes and tried to connect with the energy of the altar, looking for clues. Suddenly, the gems on the altar emitted bright light, surrounding the Moon Shadow. 017. She felt a powerful force pouring into her body, as if she was one with the altar. Kong Xian looked at this scene in surprise and said, "Yuang, do you feel anything?" Yuang opened her eyes, and bright stars were shining in her eyes. She said, "Yes, Kong Xian, I feel an ancient power, which seems to be the imprisoned power of dark forces. I believe that this altar holds the key to unblocking." Kong Xian asked nervously, "Then what should we do?" Yuang thought for a moment and said, "I need to establish a deeper connection with this altar and understand imprison specific methods protect me from any danger." End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.